Hello, welcome to Endemic Times. My name is Amira, and I came across a report about robot dogs that led me down a very odd path as I continued to research robot dogs and AI and the use of robotics. And now that we've got this situation in Ukraine and Russia, seems like this is something we should talk about. Let's get into it. In this first report from CNN, it's talking about robot dogs that could patrol the US-Mexico border. Officials praise the robot's potential as a force multiplier that could boost Border Patrol agents' safety by reducing their exposure to life-threatening hazards. Vicky Galbeca, director of the Southern Border Communities Coalition, slams the initiative as an alarming and outrageous waste of taxpayer money that would be better spent developing systems to hold Border Patrol agents accountable. That seems pretty reasonable to me, but let's continue. For years, her organization has warned that militarization along the border puts communities and migrants at risk. There are other technologies that they're already using that we feel like they should cut back on, yet they're adding on another type of surveillance technology that's frightening, to be honest. This certainly seems like it's something that's built for something very aggressive, like the theaters of war, rather than in a community. Ghost Robotics says, "There's nothing to be afraid of. We're focused on doing the right thing. We want to do the right thing for the national security and for the country," CEO Jiren Parikh says. The way that they describe the robot dogs, it's a battery-operated computer that moves around on 4 legs that literally stops operating in 4 hours. There's no way they're going to be taking over anything. It's a robot that's remotely controlled by a human in the middle. Border communities already feel over-surveyed, over-militarized, and yet they trot out this new technology and boast about it at a time when families are worried about how to get food on their tables and inflation. Exactly. So there is a huge impact that having something of this type of aggressive tactics in an area that is already ripe with tension, and this is only going to increase it. And it completely disregards the border communities as a community. It's like they fail to acknowledge that we're human beings on both sides. Robot dogs on the US border aren't part of a military effort. This is what Parikh said, the CEO of Ghost Robotics. And any suggestion that they are is silly. It's just another sensor carrier. It's really at a distance. It's really for sensing around the environment. It's not really interacting with people. There's no weapons on it. It's not being militarized for the border. It's not stopping people. Well, as we're about to get into in just a moment, there are robots very similar to these same things that do have weapons on them. Now, granted, they're not here in the US yet. The technology, he says, is designed to keep people safe, but could it ever be used against migrants at the border? Do we really think we're going to start weaponizing robots? It's silly to do that. I don't think that's in the DNA of America either. We live in a country that has so many rules and regulatory requirements in place that things like this are just remote and virtually impossible without the say of the populace. Look at our current situation, where the majority of the American population does not want to be getting involved with the tensions going on in Ukraine and that entire situation, because we have a lot of other issues going on in this country that need to be seen to. If you haven't checked out my video about child poverty, which has now added more than 3.7 million children into poverty from December 2021 to January of 2022, you should check that out. I don't know what world this guy is living in. Has he not seen the type of aggression and imperialism that the United States has when it comes to any type of technology that they can get their hands on and use it for nefarious means? That is the problem with this kind of technology. The law hasn't caught up with the developing technology. I'm concerned that the technology is getting ahead of the law, and that is, in my opinion, a completely legitimate concern to have. Science is constantly wanting to improve upon itself, and everyone just seems so quick to want to experiment and find new things without looking at the broader picture of what that could do to the rest of the population. That's why we're in our current situation now. So having something like this should be very concerning to everyone. I came across this article by The Verge. That company had unveiled a quadrupedal robot named Cyberdog, an experimental open source machine that the firm says holds unforetold possibilities. Spot, a machine built by a US firm, Boston Dynamics, is what seems to have started this trend in robotics. Of course, the US starts it, China takes that technology, improves upon it. What's to say that the US doesn't take what the technology improvements China has made and bring them here? Something to think about. Cyberdog is nimble enough to perform backflips, has a maximum payload of 3 kilos, and can trot along at speeds of 3.2 miles compared to Spot's 1.6. It is equipped with an array of cameras and sensors. These components enable the robot to navigate semi-autonomously. Cyberdog is capable of following its owner and darting around obstructions. Also respond to voice commands, recognizing wake words and instructions. I was looking at a Cyberdog. This gets into an even more creepy aspect of robotics, AI, and the use of this technology. China unveiled a small but lethal war robot, Sharpclaw, that's armed with a machine gun and night vision. The remote control machine, described as small but lethal, is designed to travel through complicated terrains at a fast speed and replace human soldiers in dangerous scouting missions, according to state media. So this is what the Sharpclaw looks like. It has the machine gun. It looks very intimidating. Sharpclaw 1, Unmanned Ground Vehicle, UGV, has entered service with the People's Liberation Army Ground Force. So this is something that has been in operation. It was unveiled around 2014, and I believe it was in 2018 when they actually started to utilize this. It operates autonomously. It can be armed with a 7.62 millimeter light machine gun, but it's unclear if it would still require human control. Part of a dual system, the larger Sharpclaw 2 UGV, a 6x6 wheeled unmanned ground vehicle designed to carry out battlefield reconnaissance, patrolling, assault and transport missions in dangerous, dirty, monotonous, and dull combat environments. The Sharpclaw 1 is essentially a smaller scout that hitches a ride in the Sharpclaw 2's cargo bay. Mule 200, UGV medium-sized multi-purpose crawler, a tracked vehicle that can accompany infantry units and be used to transport ammunition and supplies, can also be equipped with firearms. So these are 3 different types of UGVs that the China military is using. Military planners around the world are continuing to invest in the UGVs, according to a report from Global Market Insights. The market valuation of UGVs will reach $7 billion by 2026. Having this kind of military-esque robotics at the border being used in China for a multitude of reasons and places, it just gives you that very unsettling feeling of where are we going with this? Because the drive to want to improve upon technology has both good and bad things that can come from it. This is something that I think is pushing the lines of what should be civility and trying to find a middle ground with each other. So I wanted to bring this to your attention. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Does this concern you? Is this something that you like or that you want to see used more? Let me know. I'd love to get your thoughts. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for when I have new videos come out. And just remember that we're all human, we're all on a unique journey, and the best way for us to move forward positively is to have these kinds of conversations, as difficult as they may be. Stay safe, take care, and remember to be kind to each other.